Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Separate manager dies after being shot during robbery. The separate group is in mourning as its dairy farmer facilities manager, Dean Griffiths, has died after being shot during a robbery in St. Thomas. Operations officer for the St. Thomas Police Division, Deputy Superintendent O'Neill Thompson, told reporters that Griffiths was shot on the compound of Surge Island Farms about 2:30 p.m. on January 17. He was rushed to the Princess Margaret Hospital in Morant Bay for treatment and was later transferred to Kingston Public Hospital, where he succumbed to his injuries on Friday, January 20. The motive is robbery. His license firearm was also stolen, Thompson said, adding that the deceased was in his 40s. Reacting to the death, CEO of Separate Group Richard Pandoni said the company is grieving his loss. Our facilities manager for the dairy farm was murdered. Another mom grieving for her son. Another wife without her partner, children without their dad. This can't make sense, said Pandoni in a post on Twitter account on Sunday evening. 47% reduction in murders, 61 homicides since start of the year. The Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF is reporting that 61 persons have been murdered since the start of the year. This represents a 47% reduction year on year. The corresponding period in 2022 recorded 116 murders. According to the latest serious crime statistics published by the JCF, the police divisions in St. James, St. Anne South and Clarendon recorded 7 murders each as at January 22, 2023. Westmoreland, Kingston Western, St. Catherine South and Manchester have 5 murders. There are no reports of homicide in Trelawney, St. Andrew Central and Portland. The JCF is also reporting a reduction in shootings, injured persons, rape and robberies. Break-ins are on par year on year. Accused in Canis Jackson's murder remanded until Friday. The murder case involving Robert Fowler, the St. Catherine mechanic who is accused of killing 20-year-old accounting clerk Canis Jackson, was adjourned yesterday afternoon until Friday, January 27. He was further remanded until then. When the matter was called up in the Home Circuit Court yesterday, Justice Bennett Graham Allen was informed that a medical examination ordered by the court on the last occasion was conducted. Fowler reportedly did a series of blood tests on November 16 at the Spanish Town Hospital in St. Catherine. On October 5, 2022, his attorney, Linville Wesley, informed the judge that his medical condition was worsening, and Judge Graham Allen placed the murder proceedings on hold to address Fowler's health condition. Justice Graham Allen yesterday also made an order for a medical journal to be present in court on Friday so she could peruse the document herself. The prosecution and Fowler's defense team, which also comprised of Altie Freeman, were instructed to have discussion in relation to shortening the proceedings. Wesley, on previous occasion, told the court that the plan to speed up the matter foregoing a trial was still on course. Jackson, who resided in Independent City, Portmore in St. Catherine, was found dead on March 26, 2021, 2 days after she had been reported missing. Her decomposing body was found in an open lot near the Portmore fishing village. Fowler was taken into custody and charged after he reportedly confessed. Police have theorized that Fowler, is a mechanic, had lured Jackson to his home under the guise that he had left one of his tools. While there, an argument reportedly developed with Jackson, and he allegedly used a rope to strangle her. A handbag believed to be Jackson's and her bank cards were among items found at Fowler's house. According to the police, Jackson and Fowler share a platonic relationship. Fowler would transport Canis to work on occasions. Boy killed by drug had saved $30,000 in piggy bank. Weeks after the 3rd anniversary of the death of 7-year-old Clancarty primary student Benjamin Bear, his grandfather Joseph Campbell broke his piggy bank to satisfy his curiosity about how much the deceased boy had saved. Campbell told reporters that he was surprised that Bear, who was crushed by an ill-fated garbage truck at school, had amassed $30,000 in cash. "Every day me cry for man, trust me feel it every pain," the cheerful grandfather said Sunday, recalling how the thrifty boy often retained half of the money gifted to him to purchase ice cream. Even him lunch money, him carry it home and drop some of it in him saving pan. Me feel proud of him too. Me love that little youth. Campbell wept again as he reflected on the looming sentence against Alton Brooks, who pleaded guilty to manslaughter in October 28, 2019, tragedy after the garbage truck pinned down the schoolboy killed him. The truck driver had used a stick to brace the accelerator pedal before exiting the vehicle. While Brooks was outside, the truck drove off and overturned after it collided with a Toyota motor car parked on the compound. On Friday, attorney at law Davian Vassell pleaded for mercy for the 55-year-old Brooks in a last-ditch attempt to convince Supreme Court Judge Leighton Pusey that a suspended sentence could be punishment enough for his client. When Mr. Brooks was taken into custody, he was in custody for 2 months, and he said it was one of the hardest parts of his life, said Vassell, arguing that the judge had a plenty of non-custodial options for the first-time offender. Campbell said each time he sees Mr. Blair, Benjamin's sister, members of the deceased boy came flooding back. "My mommy gone, and me no cry so. My father gone, and me no cry so. But since this youth are dead, me feel it, and it make me nerves cut down one at a time," the 66-year-old man stated. Chapelton punished for missing JPL match. Chapelton Maroons have been fined $200,000 and deducted 6 points for failure to show up Jamaica Premier League JPL fixture against Mount Pleasant. The punishment was handed down by the Jamaica Football Federation Competitions Committee, which was outlined in a release yesterday afternoon. It follows the abandonment of game as referee Andre Ferguson called it off at 1:20 p.m. after Chapelton did not turn up for a 1 p.m. kickoff at the Effortville Community Center. The committee awarded the result to Mount Pleasant, which moves them to first place in the league with 24 points. The 6-point deduction puts Chapelton in the regulatory places, and they are now in 13th with 2 points. Chapelton must pay the $200,000 fine and or before February 3rd, as well as compensation for any damages or losses suffered by Mount Pleasant up to the $150,000. Chapelton are searching for a new coach following the departure of Linworth Hyde, and it is understood that they have had difficulty registering a full squad since his sacking. PNP calls on government to provide updates on local government elections. The opposition People's National Party (PNP) is calling on the government to provide an update on the local government elections, which are due to be held next month. PNP President Mark Golden, while speaking at a post-National Executive Council press conference in Runaway Bay, St. Anne, said it has heard nothing from the government on the matter. He said the elections have already been postponed twice. He said if the elections are not going to be held in February, the country needs to know, along with the basis upon which it will be further postponed.
We have been looking at internal party business. We're wondering what's happening with the local government elections. We have heard nothing from the government on that. We'd like to know what's going on because, as you know, those have been postponed now twice. They ought to have been held within the 90-day period from November 2020 to February 2021. COVID was raging at the time, and the government, despite having called a general election a few months before, said that, well, because of COVID, they wouldn't have the local government elections. You know, in the national interest and the need to contain the spread of this virus, we didn't object to that. On the very day that the disaster risk management orders were lifted and social distancing came to an end in Jamaica, as announced in Parliament by the Prime Minister, and the very day, in the very afternoon, the Minister of Local Government stood up and brought a bill to Parliament to extend the period for 1 more year for the holding of local government elections. That comes to an end in February. We've heard nothing. We want to know on what basis. If it is not going to be held, we want to know why. And we do not see any basis upon which it should be further postponed.
Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification